Welcome to This Week in the World of Wrestling.
Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John, that's my cohort and commentary Ashton, and this is our Monday Night Raw review. And this Raw, for me, can be best summed up using the old adage, it's not about how well you start, it's about how strong you finish. Because I'd say the final hour of this Raw was absolutely stellar programming. The 2 hours that preceded it, I wouldn't say they were atrocious, but I would best describe them with just the shrug of meh. But that third hour, especially the main event, holy crap, that's when WWE is at its finest. You know, you hear a lot of fans say that we trudge through a lot of WWE's crap for certain moments. Well, moments like tonight are exactly what they were talking about. Ashton, what did you think of this Raw tonight?
Let me put it this way. The first hour and a half of this show, on a scale of 1 to 10, was about a 3 for me.
Right.
Then the half hour or so after that involved Bo Dallas versus Dean Ambrose and Barrett versus Truth, and the very beginning of Brock Lesnar and Seth Rollins segment, that would be like a 6. But then starting with the Brock Rollins segment until the end of the show was a freaking 10 out of 10. Absolutely phenomenal. It's so weird, the strange dynamic that you can get from just kind of changing around the players that are involved. And we went from a bunch of stuff with Big Show and Ryback and Roman Reigns and Sheamus and freaking Rusev, Lana, Ziggler, and Summer and that whole crap. And once we got through all that, it was smooth sailing. And then once we got to Brock, everything picked up a level.
Definitely. I completely agree on all counts. And I'll even say this, like, the Rusev, Lana, Ziggler, like, how it ended and the fact that the talking was really kept to a minimum, this is actually one of the better segments that program has had for me. So I really didn't have much of a problem with it. But, yeah, the Brock segment I think was superbly done. And the main event, just, my God, it's going on my match of the year list, I'll say that right now. But we'll get far more into it when the time arises. So, Ashton, do you just want to get into our first segment?
Yes.
Heat of the night. And I'm actually packing some heat tonight. I have one heat of the night tonight.
Well, that's awesome. I want to hear what yours is before I say anything.
I really got irritated with how directionless Dean Ambrose was tonight. And he had his match with Bo Dallas. And I think I made this a heat of the night because it's a heat of the night about a much grander issue, you know, a bigger picture, if you will. Dean Ambrose was the number one contender to the WWE World Heavyweight Championship in the main event at the last pay-per-view, Money in the Bank. Him and Seth Rollins had a ladder match. And now we are 13 days until Battleground. This guy doesn't even have a kickoff match. It would be bad enough if Dean Ambrose was just thrown in some match, you know, without a story. But he doesn't have anything right now. And the only reason I'm really taking WWE to task for this, Dean Ambrose is supposed to be one of your top baby faces. I think Brock would be considered the top babyface right now because he's in, you know, the front-running program for the world title.
Right.
But Dean, you know, just last night he was getting crazy crowd reactions. People love him. From what I hear, his merch sells consistently well. And he's definitely higher on the card than, say, a babyface like a Dolph Ziggler or, you know, people of that caliber. You need to protect those guys. And I'm not just talking about in terms of wins, losses, booking, but, like, knowing that you have something for them. I'm talking internally. Like, when they walk into the building, you've got something in place for them because you never want a guy like a Dean Ambrose with all of his momentum, with all of his potential, to be aimless. So I got to say, like, I've got no problem with Bo Dallas. I had no problem with this match. It's what the match represents when we're 13 days to a pay-per-view that the number one contender to your world title at the last pay-per-view has got nothing to do. That really, really annoys me, dude. They have got to do a better job by Dean Ambrose, and I'm sure you can extend these same sentiments to a lot of other guys, but Dean Ambrose is the focus right now. It is shameful that he has nothing for Battleground right now, in my opinion.
You know what, John? I'm actually going to almost kind of work your heat of the night into a heat of the night of my own. That kind of, it's kind of like an umbrella that would also include your heat of the night specifically.
Right.
matches with no purpose on Raw in general have gotten so out of control.
Yeah, man.
Roman Reigns versus Sheamus? Really? Why? Because they're both big? Who cares? They have nothing to do with each other. There's literally no reason for these guys to have a match. Bo Dallas versus Dean Ambrose, another example of two guys that don't have any reason to be in the ring with each other. R-Truth versus Barrett, I can forgive because they have a little bit of history, but I thought that this whole thing was freaking over with, and I'm sick of it. I mean, it's gotten to the point now that half of the matches that happen on Raw are completely directionless. And they're the kind of match, those are the matches specifically that I feel no need to watch. Those are the matches that when they come on, and here's the thing, we're in an age where people don't really turn the channel when their favorite show is on, even if it does something stupid. What I do personally is if something happens on Raw, or if a match comes on with no direction or purpose, I'll just browse Reddit. That's kind of my thing. Maybe I'll like message you or Abel or someone like that on Skype or Facebook or something like that. And that's kind of like the new changing the channel because there's no alternative to Raw.
Right, well, I mean, I'm glad you said it, because if I'm being 100% truthful, there were a few segments, tonight on Raw, before that glorious, final 45 minutes, where I may have been, like, playing games in another tab, but I wouldn't, take away from it too long, because I did want to watch the matches to give the most honest review. But, like, say, for example, Truth versus Barrett, I have no stake in that match.
Dude, and that's
not
actually the match that I zoned out the most in, because, like, I zoned out so much during that match that I forgot to write notes about it, and I had to go and look up what order things happened in so that I knew where that was in the context of the Bo Dallas Ambrose match and then the Brock versus Cadillac segment, because I just completely blanked out when I saw that these guys were fighting each other again.
Absolutely. I mean, and anybody who really knows Ash and has been watching our reviews, I mean, I know that matches that really don't have anything substantive going for them, or to keep using the term we've been using, that are directionless, you really don't care for. I feel like Lucha Underground has been the best promotion at navigating that minefield.
Yep.
Just when you think they're going to have a meaningless match, bam, out comes Dario Cueto, and he, spices it up a bit. Because I think people realize that unless you're going to be, because I think Ring of Honor still does this, unless you're going to be a promotion that keeps track of wins and losses to determine who gets title shots, then really every match you have that doesn't involve a championship or some, or further some kind of storyline or anything like that is going to be meaningless.
Yeah.
And WWE really does nothing to avert that crisis.
Yeah.
Like, I'd like to get excited about the fact that Barrett's been stringing wins together lately on Raw, but I know it's not going to mean anything. Again, I don't want to say enraged, because that's way too hyperbolic, but I am legitimately angry that Dean Ambrose, like, again, this hot commodity, has nothing for the next pay-per-view when he just main evented the last one.
Yeah.
Like, when you say that out loud, it's got to blow your mind a little bit. It can't be just me. How do you go from main eventing one show and not having anything for the next one? It just boggles my mind. But this is the state of WWE, because unless you are, I don't know if I should say unless you're a select few, you've always got something, but I think unless you're a part of a certain cluster of things going on, like the Authority, I think, is always going to have some things set in stone.
Right.
Or if you're feuding with John Cena in the case of Kevin Owens. But if you're out of that periphery, if you're out of that zone, that realm, good luck to you, because I don't know what to tell you. It's really crazy, dude, and I'm really glad that you and I are talking about this, because, man, I'm just seeing him compete against Bo Dallas, and I really didn't care, because all I could think about was, wow, Dean Ambrose in 2015, with all the momentum he's got, deserves so much better than this. And I love Bo Dallas. It's just what Bo Dallas represents. So, yeah, I'm just really glad we could get that off our chest.
Yeah, I mean, I even enjoyed this match. It was an entertaining match. But again, The problem isn't with the workers. It's with the writers. The problem is that the writers aren't giving either one of these guys anything to do. And it's not just a Dean Ambrose problem. And yeah, sure, you can highlight, well, Dean Ambrose being at the event of the last pay-per-view, and that's an issue. But it's a Bo Dallas problem, too, because why is the only thing that he has to do right now getting randomly rock-bottomed at a house show and then having a random pointless match against a top babyface that has no consequences at all?
I don't know, and it's weird with both guys, because, and I'm not saying I would have wanted this, but, I mean, just allow me to make my point. With Dean Ambrose, you saw he was having those interactions with Kane, and I heard rumors of a one-on-one match between those two at Battleground. And you know what? As much as I would have disliked that, at least it would have kept him in the Authority's view and the Authority's vision, which means that he's still within proximity of the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. So considering where we are, I probably would have taken that. And with Bo Dallas, I was intrigued by him because if you remember when he was getting out of the program with Neville, he was illustrating a darker demeanor, and he was exhibiting, in his promos just being more curt, more aggressive things like that, not the happy-go-lucky thumbs up, running laps. So I'm thinking, ooh, character progression for Bo. That didn't go anywhere either. So you've got two guys that, to me, at this point, are kind of stuck in neutral. And
Right.
it's really a shame for one, not much of a surprise for the other, but it doesn't make it any less bad. Both these guys have something to give, and I don't think they're being afforded the tools right now to really give it. And it just kind of leaves you scratching your head and wondering, well, where do we go from here with both of these guys? Again, especially Ambrose.
You know what would have made sense?
What do you think would have made sense?
And actually, you know what? Wasn't last week on Raw, didn't we get a match between Ambrose and Bray Wyatt?
I believe we may have. I can't be too sure, but that wouldn't have surprised me because they have been mixing it up lately.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say we could do that tonight, but then I think we did that last week. But regardless, I mean, I usually hate tag matches, but the main reason throwing together tag matches, but the reason I hate them is because they're usually main events. I hate main event thrown together tag matches. I could have dealt with just combining the Reigns, Sheamus, Ambrose, Wyatt stuff all into one match, get Roman Reigns and Ambrose on a team, Sheamus and Wyatt on a team, tag team match. Now all of a sudden we've got something to be invested in because Roman Reigns and Wyatt are feuding, and maybe now this could kick off an Ambrose-Sheamus feud. And then Ambrose is in the mix with Mr. Money in the Bank. That would have been great.
Absolutely, but instead, as we all know, Sheamus is in the mix with Orton, which we'll talk about that a little bit later.
And hey, if you want to try and figure out something to do with Bo Dallas, maybe give him a storyline. Maybe give him a storyline against, I don't know, who's the current Intercontinental Champion, John?
Ryback.
Well, I guess that wouldn't work. Okay, fine. Put
Maybe.
Bo Dallas against Barrett. You don't need to have Truth go against him again.
I mean, yeah, put him against Barrett, maybe. Hell.
Or just so it makes more sense, put Bo Dallas against R-Truth with Barrett on commentary.
There you go. I mean, just something, man, I just don't like the fact that these guys, again, are stuck in neutral, don't seem to have anything to do, and they're left tangling with each other. And it's just really alarming to me that you've got a top babyface who sells well, who gets great reactions in Ambrose, and not even a kickoff match on this show, which still would have left a bad taste in my mouth, but just something, anything at this point. I don't know. But I'm curious, do you have any other heats tonight, or was that your only big one like me?
That was the big thing that was really irking me all night. It was just, why are we having these matches that serve no purpose and have no storyline attached to them and just all this other stuff? And that's the number one, pretty much the only thing that really irked me tonight.
Right.